daughters were born in different places. Nancy was born in Tampa. Debbie was born in, oh shoot,
Fort Myers?
Fort Myers, yes. And Sunday and Nola were born in Jasper. And we were good friends with the doctors at the clinic in Jasper. And when Sunday was born, the doctor that delivered her, Gail told the nurses that she wanted the name of Sunday. And the doctor didn't like that. And he presented Gail with a birth certificate with the name of George on it for Sunday. Of course, that was a fake one. But when Nola came along, why, I've forgotten why, but I had taken, Gail and I had gone shopping, Nola. We'd gone shopping, and then I dropped her off at the clinic. She was in labor, but she thought it would be several hours before she delivered. And I took the groceries we had and went back over to the nursery at Lee, put them away, and on my way back, I'm listening to the radio. We hadn't come up with a name yet for this child. Of course, we didn't know whether it would be a boy or a girl. But I heard the song Nola on the radio. And I remembered I had one date when I was in high school with a girl from Plant High School by the name of Nola, and she was real cute. But only one date. But anyway, when I got to the hospital and Gail had already delivered, and it was a girl, I went in and Gail asked me, have you thought of a name yet? And I said, yeah, Nola. Where'd that come from? I said, well, I heard it on the radio, heard the song. It was a very cute instrumental song, very nice instrumental song. I don't think I've ever heard the words to it, but I like the song, so Nola it was. I can recall one time when we were down in Naples, I had taken a party out to show them where some property was, and it was way out in the boondocks. And the Jeep quit running. And I had these 3 people from New York out in the middle of the Everglades, and we were going to have to spend the night. I had a little bit of food. I had a couple of cans of peaches or something like that. I carried all the time. But anyway, I realized, well, they're going to be scared to death out there. I've got to gather up some wood. So I scrounged around, had a nice pile of wood, built a fire. Wood was what we call lighter pine. And that is heart pine that the sap resin has gone into, and then the sapwood is rotted off. And this wood is very hard, and it burns hot, but it's also very smoky, a lot of rosin in the smoke. But anyway, I had this whole pile of wood out there, and I told these guys, I said, now look, You're perfectly safe here. Nothing's going to get you. I said, if you want to keep a fire going all night, that's fine, but keep it small. This wood's got to last all night. And I've got to walk out of here if I can get us help tomorrow. And it was going to be a 20, 25 mile hike. So mosquitoes were bad, but I left them around the fire and I went and got in the Jeep along about 9 o'clock, I guess it was. And I sat there going to sleep, and they wouldn't leave me alone. Every half hour at least they were there, and by 2 o'clock in the morning they'd used up all the wood, and I had to go scrounging in the dark to find some more. Finally got through the night, and where the Jeep had stopped was next to the logging railroad. Now that logging railroad was going to Big Cypress Swamp. They were cutting cypress trees in there that were huge. One cypress tree would fill up a flat car. It'd be 3 logs, 2 side by side and 1 on top, and that was all you could put on that flat car. But anyway, we didn't know whether that train would run the next day or not. Turned out it didn't. So I got up, woke up early the next morning, daylight. I told the fellows, I said, look, you stay right here on this railroad. I'll be able to find you right here. I'm going to go get help. You stay here. So I started walking down the road, and I'd gone about a half mile. The road was sort of crooked that I was on, bushes on both sides, and I heard talking. So I stopped and listened, and here these guys are coming behind me. Well, those fellows from New York City would never walk 20 miles through the woods and get out on their own, not in one day anyway. So I went back and read them the riot act, sent them back to the Jeep, and turned around. Well, that had cost me an hour. I started out. Long about 11 o'clock, I got far enough out that I came on some colored folks fishing in the canal ditch alongside the road. Told them what had happened. Well, they offered me some food, and boy, I was hungry. I hadn't eaten anything since noon the day before. And they offered me some pork chops and rice, and I gobbled it down. And then they offered to drive me out to, I think the name of the town was Coleman, where the logging lumberyard, not lumberyard, but the sawmill was. And they drove me out there, and I got to the sawmill, got to the phone, and called my boss. These were death. That they had put a plane out looking for us and found the Jeep, and nobody was there. Those guys had started walking again. But the pilot of the plane wrote a note and wrapped it around something and flew over and dropped it to those guys and told them to go back to the Jeep, which they did. And as soon as he was able to get back to Naples and tell them there where that was, why there was a fellow there that knew the area well enough. He drove out and got them. We had a Jeep station wagon that he went and got them in. But in the meantime, when I didn't come home, why, Debbie, I think Debbie was maybe just a month or two old, and he was very worried about me. She'd called her dad, and Bill Wolf was one to take action. He called the highway patrol and told us, look, I've got to go to Naples, and gave him the particulars of why. He said, I'm going to be driving fast. I'm not drunk. I'm going to be careful, but I'm going to be driving fast. If you got to stop and give me a ticket, why, do that, but I'm going. So, on the way down, I think he said he passed 3 or 4 highway patrolmen that were sitting on the side of the road, and 1 or 2 of them pulled out and got behind him enough to see who he was. He had told them what kind of car he was driving and what the license number was, and they pulled off and let him go. But he was there by daylight, and I didn't get home till around almost noon, I guess it was, that day. That was one of the things that happened down there. I learned, strange how you can learn things without really meaning to, without setting out to. But I learned to identify the underbrush that was in that area to the point where I could close my eyes, you could drive me out there and I could open my eyes and look around and tell you about how far I was from the coast by what underbrush was there, what bushes were there, and how they grew. I don't know that I've ever seen or heard anyone else say that they could do that or that it was even possible, but I could. And I wasn't ever blindfolded and taken out there, but I could look at things and say, well, these bushes are different than those over there 3 miles away. To the point where I knew right about where I was just by looking.